You're live on Shots at the Shop.
All right, and welcome to the Shots at the Shop orientation. Takes on vaccine hesitancy in communities of color. And of course, I'm Omar Neal. I will be serving as your moderator for today. I'm the former mayor of Tuskegee, Alabama, and host of the very popular radio talk show, You Got the Power. And of course, hanging out with me is Dr. Stephen T. Thomas, and we call him Dr. T.
Hello, Omar.
Hey, how you doing, Dr. T?
You know, it's hot outside in the temperature, but it is also hot as this Delta virus is giving us a big wake-up call.
Oh, man, it is. And what you don't know is this, is that people around the country are now waking up. And what we're seeing is uptakes is increasing multiple fold in most of the states around the country. Now, we recognize that we've been trying to tell people that Delta was on its way. We've been talking about the fact that it's more virulent than the original strain. And we also was telling them that you cannot escape it. You cannot wait it out. The best thing to do is to protect yourself. So maybe we can have this conversation about how we can protect ourselves from now on. Now, what we're going to do is, man, let me tell you this, man. I'm so excited about today because we have some special guests. All of our guests special, but we got real special guests coming up today, and I'm not going to let anybody know about it right now. But you want to tune into this one because we got somebody who is connected to Tuskegee and connected to the Moderna vaccine as well. So that's two really powerful connections. All right, now let me see. Go ahead, Dr. T.
You know, one of the things we want to do at the top is I need Dr. Tuesday to turn her camera on so that we can spotlight you. And Simone, if you'll turn your camera on, we can spotlight you. And we have we can give people an update on their interactions with Shea Moisture. And we've been doing the one-on-one technical assistance calls and helping folks along the way. And so we've asked Simone to come and give us an update because we got people getting over the finish line, Omar. We got people giving shots in the shop. I am telling you, that's right. Put those fingers together, clap.
Absolutely.
You know what else we have to tell people, Omar? We've been building this plane while we're flying it.
Mm-hmm.
Patience,
Absolutely.
Tolerance is important. And what we build, we want to keep. This is not going to be one of those temporary things. You build it and then it goes away. So that means all the potholes we identify, all the challenges we identify, we want to get fixed. Hey, Simone, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Absolutely wonderful. Good to see you.
Yes, it's good to see all of you guys.
Absolutely.
Good to see you as well.
Yes.
Give us an update from Shea Moisture.
So I am excited, as Dr. Thomas mentioned. We definitely are having so many people who are participating. We reached our 1,000 shop goal that we set out to do. I know, right? So that's worth celebrating in itself. Like, it's amazing. And everyone, we actually reached this probably within 2 weeks to 3 weeks after we announced the initiative. So thank you all for who signed up or helped other people sign up, because that's what it's about. So now here comes the exciting part. We got you registered, but you got to go through the next steps so that we can also get you paid, right? So we know a lot of you guys do it just because it's something that you do. You're always there for your community, but we do want to make sure that we're giving back to you guys so you don't always have to come out of pocket to do the amazing things you're doing to protect, serve, lead your communities, right? So I'm seeing all of this great news that Stephen is showing me about all the shops who have done activations, they've done events, they've gotten needles in arms, people vaccinated and educated, but you guys have not filled out that form to get paid. So I want to make sure you guys know how to get paid when you go through this process, which is you're at the first part, right? Which is to come to the orientation, get all this good information here, get all this good energy, check out everybody who's here with you and ready to take this mission with you. But then you have to go and get some more good information from the training that Dr. Thomas and his team has put together, as well as some of the Hair Academy. Is it Academy Institute?
That's right.
Yes, I see Mike and a few other people who have helped with that. But you have to go get the other information that's not here so that you know about the vaccine, how it's not actually getting to those that we needed to get to. And if you are hosting an event before you can complete that curriculum, that's okay too, but we need you to connect with your public health official. So if you want to get your event started, because we know there's urgency to actually host the events, just work with someone who has all the information, a trusted community partner, a trusted medical partner, or your public health official. And I think we'll give you more information on how to connect to them. And if you don't, I think we can drop the link in the chat here. I'll do it after I finish talking. But then after you do your event, you can go back and get your curriculum, but make sure you fill out your form. Once you do your event, fill out your form. If there's any gaps that we're noticing, like, hey, we just need you to do this one thing in order to get paid, let us communicate that to you, but don't stop yourselves from actually filling out the payment form.
So Simone, I was so excited today because I got on the telephone with our friends from NACHO, National Association of County and City Health Officials. And you know what we did? We did a joint phone call, 3-way, with a shop in Baltimore City. And we heard the reality on the ground. And some of it is, as we learned from Miss Mason, she just finally got a smartphone. Kids finally got her a smartphone.
Yep.
And so she said, I don't do email.
Yep. Okay.
We've been making phone calls and getting people over the finish line. So one of the things that we've done is we've looked at our database, everybody who's done a event, verified, and come to an orientation. We're going to do one-on-one outreach. Awesome. I got my team here. Put your cameras on, and get their form filled out. We'll do some hand holding to get their forms filled out.
Awesome. Hey, Meg.
Because these are our ambassadors. And one other thing, Simone, some of them have already done one, and then they said the health department has called and said, "Can we do another one?" I think it's amazing.
That is absolutely amazing. And so again, we want to be able to share your story, share your content. A lot of them are also creating amazing interviews with news stations, all of that we want. So when you fill out this form, it gives us the opportunity to share the good things you're doing in your community and also make sure that you're getting paid for doing the work that you're doing in your community. So again, I love this extra step of, maybe hand holding a bit. We actually will probably have some new opportunities to work with other organizations in your area where you can also just partner with them to make sure you get an event off the ground. So everything we're saying here right now is this should not be hard. If it's hard, you let us know because we're going to figure out how to troubleshoot it. But this whole initiative was not to make anything hard about the process. We just want to partner with the things you already do. And if it's something that you haven't done and want to do, we are going to be with you like every step of the way and tell you how to do it, or connect you with someone who can help you do it.
So Simone, I don't know if we're going to have Simone the whole time, Omar. So I wanted to show her something about what's coming. Do you see that, Simone?
I do.
This is going to be our speaker tonight, who actually worked on the mRNA vaccine.
That's awesome.
I'm going to let Omar do the whole introduction, but I want you to know he's here with us tonight, all the way from Alabama.
This is amazing.
And I want you to see some of the collateral people have developed. These are the posters, very creative. We're collecting them. These are things that years from now will be in the Library of Congress. That's the moment we're in, people. This is a 100-year event. We're making history here. So I wanted you to see the creativity that people have going on. And we have shops that want some of this help too. We're going to see how we can get them to the same level of quality and innovation.
It sounds good.
Great.
Omar?
And let me just back up and say, Simone, we want to thank Shea Moisture for your commitment. We don't ever want to take anything for granted. And we want you to know that we're really appreciative of your commitment to this effort and as well. Shea Moisture is really a wonderful company that's really put their money where their mouth is. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, we couldn't do what we do unless you guys help us lift off these programs and get the communities involved. So I appreciate everything that you just said, but like it definitely takes the work of everyone that's been part of this initiative to make it happen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Simone. Well, let me say this because this young man is a Tuskegee man. He's a graduate.
Mr. Mayor, I do see Reed out there. Let's let him say hi.
Oh, okay. So Dr. Reed,
hey Reed,
we got to start out with you, man. How you doing, my friend?
Well, anytime I'm on a call with Omar, Stephen, and Simone, and Tuesday, I'm in good space. So listen, I'm going to be really brief because I know we've got a great speaker coming up, and I'm really glad that Simone was able to walk through what it takes to help us keep our commitment to you. This is really all about you. You all are the stars. One of the things that I think you may have noticed is by doing this campaign now, I'm seeing news articles and other feature stories all around the country who are now really celebrating our barbers and beauticians. People are now getting and understanding across this nation that you all are very much stars of our community. And so it's really been wonderful to see the rest of the world understand what we always have known, and that is the importance of the work that you do every day. So at the end of the day here, let me just say that we are trying to get it right. We're trying to help you help us live. This Delta virus, this new Delta variant is almost got us back to square one. If you don't understand yet how serious this is, I have to tell you, we're almost having to look at this as a new pandemic. And so if you are standing there in an indoor shop with people who you don't really know, who have just walked in from the world, you have to assume that they are walking into your home, your place, and bringing you something that you do not want, and they're bringing it to your customers. So please, in addition to getting vaccinated, make sure you are wearing your mask, because what you also don't want is somebody walking into your shop, you leave the shop and walk into your house and do this to someone else. This is a serious issue. And finally, you can really tell how serious it is when you get these racist white governors who have been fighting so hard against vaccines and mask wearing, having to do a spin and a pirouette and a gymnastics routine worthy of Simone Biles to find a way to get back to saying, hey, wait a minute, time out. We got to do something different here because we're dying like flies. So anyway, we're here for you. We love you. I won't take up any more time, but Simone was spot on in terms of what we're about. And by the way, have a company put its money where its mouth is and then fight to spend it. That's really weird. You got somebody, you can be a company and say, okay, I'm gonna put it out there, but you basically saying, ain't nobody gonna sign up for it. It'll be all right. We can get through this, okay? She's on the phone, on the call, Zoom saying, please spend my money. That's serious business. Thank y'all very much.
Thanks, Dr. Reed Tuckson. Let me say this, the person that I'm gonna bring on now is a graduate of Tuskegee University. He is the person who worked on the Moderna vaccine. He did a piece that really just caught my attention. And we're going to show you this piece before he comes on himself. But his name is Dr. Ian Moore. He's a native of Brewton, Alabama. In fact, he's headed to Brewton right now, but he hangs out up there in Maryland with you all. That's where he works. And he is one of the top people in his field. He works with NIH. And of course, we're going to talk with him about the vaccine, how it was made or created, and the myths associated with vaccinations. Once you hear from him, you will never be confused about how and why this vaccine will not only save lives, but is safe. All right, let's show the video.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up and cross your fingers for me as we go out to the desktop.
This is what you call putting it where the cows can get it.
Okay, here we go. All right. Now I've queued this up to a certain point in his presentation, and then he's going to speak to us directly afterwards. So adjust your sound, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
The T cells and B cells know that this guy with little pieces should not be in the neighborhood. Let's say that that situation is after your second shot of the mRNA vaccine. 2 weeks passed. So now you have a really, really robust immune response, really strong immune response. That immune response is based on antibody generation. And who does the antibodies? The B cell, the guy who's really excited and says, let me handle it if this guy comes around. Let's say we have a scenario where you've been vaccinated, you're protected now. You've been vaccinated, but how does your body protect you? Virus particle floating in the air, makes its way into your nose, down your trachea, into your body. Remember the lung cells, nice, happy, healthy lung cell with the locks on the surface. So remember that. But now you have a extra weapon. Let's say that these silver beads, if you can see them, are antibodies. These antibodies are circulating in response to the virus now coming into your body. The virus comes into your body and the B cells like, oh, wait. I recognize that guy. I recognize him. I recognize those spike proteins. I think I need to take care of this. Your B cell then releases its antibodies and your antibodies start circulating in your body, circulating in your blood. And so this guy is circulating and trying to find its way to your lock. It wants to take one of these keys and put it on your lock. But what happens? Now you have antibodies circulating. But look what happens. Antibodies are circulating, the virus is there. Look at that. These spike proteins, or the keys that they need to get into your cell, have now become all covered and blocked by antibodies. Now, if you can imagine, what happens if you try to, as a virus covered with antibodies tries to make connection with your lock? Look, antibodies get in the way, they block it. So now this virus particle is just like, it's frustrated. It can't make contact with your cell. It's just hanging out. But then it has all these sticky things all over it. Those sticky things have two purposes. As we mentioned, the antibodies, they block the keys. But in addition, these are like flags for your body. So this virus particle, if you've ever driven down an interstate and you see a car that's been parked on the side of the road for, you go to work and you've been going to work for a week and you see the same car. Eventually you come back by and that car has a yellow or an orange sticker on the window. Now that car has been flagged for removal. So now a towing company will come and take it away. So imagine our friend, the antigen presenting cell, or his cousins, his very close cousins, macrophages, they come in and they say, hey, you have all kinds of yellow stickers on you. They engulf them, take them away, remove them. So what I tried to do there is I tried to illustrate how you can protect yourself if you get vaccinated. There are going to be some people who see this video and they're going to, maybe laugh at the analogies that I used. But the serious point is that not getting vaccinated is, nobody can make you get vaccinated, but I want to make sure that when it comes to you getting vaccinated, you have a clear understanding of how the process works, because we have two vaccines. We have two vaccines to use. We have two mRNA vaccines that are currently out with emergency use approval for the FDA. Those vaccines were not done in an unsafe way. They are completely safe, extremely effective, way more effective than probably some of our even more traditional, commonly used vaccines. But what I want you to do is I want you to take into consideration that you have opportunity to protect yourself. you have an opportunity to avoid infection, avoid unnecessary illnesses. Hi, thank you.
All right.
Omar, was that?
Some
I
snaps.
learned something. That was awesome.
Snaps. Absolutely wonderful.
Absolutely, some snaps.
Absolutely. But let's bring up Dr. Moore. I don't see him. Where's Dr. Moore? I see now.
I'm here.
Dr.
I'm here.
How
I'm
you
here.
doing,
Hey,
Dr.
Dr.
Moore?
Moore.
How you doing? How you doing?
Good.
Hello.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me say this. I like the way you rep Tuskegee when you was doing that. You know,
Of course.
that's
Of course.
what you call product placement.
Of course.
Right?
Of course. I had
Absolutely. All right. So tell us a little bit about you and what you're doing, and tell us. We know that you are only going to be with us for a few minutes because you are traveling. Tell us how all of that's about. How that came about.
Yeah. So actually, if you saw the video, you just saw the video. So that video represents what the portion of the process that I contributed to. I did the preclinical studies, and these are the studies that lead up to human testing. So, and essentially, we have animal models of the SARS-CoV-2, or what you know as the COVID-19, and we have animal models. And so what we try to do is when we're trying these vaccines out, we have to test them and make sure that they're safe and effective, first and foremost, to go into the human clinical trials, which you have heard probably numerous times now, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Those are the steps before you go to FDA. And so my role was to make sure that they were safe and effective enough to go into human clinical trials. And so, but the video you saw, I put that together for two reasons. I put it together because I'm from a small town in Alabama called Bruton, which I'm standing in right now. I travel here, just got off the road. I'm hot off the press, so to speak. Just got off the road. And I'm standing here now because of the vaccine. I'm standing here because I'm vaccinated. I'm standing here because my parents are vaccinated, and I'm able to make that trip. But the reason I made that vaccine is because I am from a small town, less than 6,000 people here, and I knew that there would be some reluctance to take a vaccine. That, you know, you start talking about mRNA. This takes people back to, you know, mRNA actually probably wasn't around in the textbooks, even in my high school. I was in high school not too long ago, I would like to think, and mRNA was not in the textbooks then. This is actually still it, but it was something that has been around for at least 20 years, but it wasn't commonly taught at that point because these are things we're learning about. And so what happens is now you have mRNA, which basically, the one thing I want to tell people is that mRNA mimics what the virus does to you in a natural setting. The virus infects your cells and it tells your cell, make more of me, do this, I'll give you these instructions. The virus gives you instructions to make more of it and to cause more damage in your body. We have just gotten smart enough, brilliant scientists like Dr. Barney Graham and Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett, who I'm sure you've heard of. Those people got smart enough and said, you know what, we're going to take that information, take this knowledge, and try to beat the virus at its own game and say, we're going to give you information to make a part of the virus so your body recognizes that part before it can cause damage. And that's what I illustrated in the video, is that antibodies are recognizing the virus before it can cause damage in your body. But to put all this in perspective, I'm standing here now in my hometown and feeling fairly confident in being able to, I still wear my mask, don't get me wrong, I still wear my mask when I'm around people, but I'm standing here now because I was able to travel down and see my mother for the first time in a year because I got vaccinated and because she got vaccinated. And let me tell you, if my mom can get vaccinated, anybody can get vaccinated. Because I had a good sit down with her and to tell her, like, this is what we need to do. This is why you need to do it. But she was an excellent representation of the questions and the concern that people have. Being a Tuskegee man, I understand. The background I was educated against was one where the Public Health Service used these people in Macon County to see how untreated syphilis would ravage the body. They didn't infect the people. That's one of the myths I want to make sure is clear. They didn't infect these people, but they used them to see how the natural infection would go. And even though during the time of the study, over that 40-year period, the treatment for, which is penicillin, was available. So they still withheld treatment. So this is the things that we can't conflate two different things. That was basically somebody not giving you treatment. This one is preventing you from dying. This is preventing you. This is people like myself and Dr. Corbett. We are trying to help our own people, but all trying to help everybody else as well. And so we want to make sure that you understand that there's a lot of misinformation out there. So that's why I'm coming to you direct and telling you the truth about these vaccines. These vaccines are safe and they're effective. I've taken it myself, and I hope that everybody else does, because the majority at this point now, majority of the people who are getting sick and who are in the hospital and who are dying are people who are not vaccinated. There are such things as breakthrough cases, but those are actually fairly rare compared to the hospitalizations and deaths you have right now from people who are completely unvaccinated. So I just want to make sure that that information is completely clear and that people can trust getting a vaccine and know that there are people that look like them that are working in this process. As a matter, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Listen, and I know mom's waiting, but I just want to say this as a professor, as a teacher, as an educator.
Yes.
I think that what you did with the models was brilliant.
I appreciate it.
Because the whole notion of the macrophages, the using the metaphors of the car with tags, I mean, that's what's missing when we talk from our scientific perspective. We need a translator that can do just what you did. And where's Mike Brown? Mike, Dynamite, probably several Zooms ago, made the point that we got to break it down for like we were talking to a fifth grader, part
Yep.
1, part 2, part 3, and by making the models excellent. Mike, your feedback, Dynamite Brown.
Absolutely right. We have to make it meet the people where they are. You know, you have people from every walk of life. Some of them are not from education. Some of them are blue collar worker, trash men, or whatever. They don't understand the terminology. So the way you broke it down was definitely what's needed, so people can understand it at their level, and they can begin to comprehend what's really going on and drive out the conspiracy theories.
Right.
So that was excellent. Yes,
Thank you.
excellent.
Anybody else want to say something to Dr. Moore before he leaves? He's given us just a little time of his vacation time, but if anybody want to ask a question or make a comment, I want to make sure we do that before I make my final comments.
And I put his full video.
So I have one. I have
Go
one
ahead.
question.
Sure.
I had a customer. He says, "So, what do I say about?" Because I'm always pro-vaccine in the barbershop when I'm talking. So he says, "So what do you say about the people who have been vaccinated, still caught it, and got very sick? How do I rebuttal to that?"
And ask him. I would rebut by saying, are those people still here? Because there's no vaccine as 100%. I would tell anybody that right now. And as a matter of fact, just perspective, these are talking points for you, but some of our most effective. So my background is actually influenza immunology, where my PhD is in influenza immunology and pathogenesis of the disease. And so I used to talk a lot about flu vaccines and having people tell them, get your annual flu vaccines. And so I had this, I was kind of prepped for this and I didn't realize it. But the reality is that some of our most effective flu vaccines were only 50% effective. Now we're talking about Pfizer and Moderna, 94 and 95%. That is 94 and 95% up to this point was unheard of. And so now you have a vaccine that is that effective. Now the point is that bulletproof vests work and protect you. But if you keep getting shot, eventually it's going to compromise the integrity of that vest. And so the same thing with a vaccine. You get a vaccine, you give yourself protection. But if you're around 70 people who are sneezing and running and rubbing their noses and blowing their nose around you, you're going to really put a lot of stress on your immune system and its ability to protect you. So that's why you have breakthrough cases, because we still have so many people who are unvaccinated. And then the unfortunate part is that the more the virus gets a chance to replicate, the more likelihood we have of different variants coming, some that may even be more serious than the Delta variant. And that's what I want to tell people. If we're tired of this, get vaccinated. You're tired. If you want to get back home, you want to go see grandma, go get vaccinated, point blank. And so that's what it boils down to. And people are not dying from vaccines. People are dying from not getting vaccinated. That's the reality. That's just point blank right there.
We got another top barber. We got another top barber here, Tony, and then Carol.
Yeah, Tony, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank him for that analogy that he used, and I'm definitely going to use it as a talking point at my barbershop. We're in a very high traffic area in Atlanta, and we get all kinds of questions about the vaccine. And most people know now that I'm a part of this awesome movement. And so they direct a lot of those questions to me. And I just want to thank the doctor for really breaking it down in a way that I hadn't seen it broken down before. And it gives me just another level of a different way, I should say, to explain the vaccine and how it works, because that is the main thing. And what you guys were talking about earlier about the women getting pregnant, I'm sorry, the pregnant women receiving the vaccine. And that was powerful as well, because that was our discussion today in the shop, because we had some ladies in there who were pregnant and they want the vaccine. They're coming to our shop on Tuesday. So all of this has just been, man, it's been on point for me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, Tony. Dr. Ritter?
Yes, Dr. Moore, I really I also totally appreciated your video and the way you can get the education to people at that level. My nerdy self has been trying to find a way to explain this when somebody said, I had COVID already, I don't need to be vaccinated. And then the CDC says that the natural infection may not protect as well as the vaccine itself.
Yes,
Can you give me a way to explain why the vaccine protects you more than the infection? Because that's not typical.
Yeah. And so what it boils down to is that the level of protection, the level of immunity you get from natural infection. If you think about it, you have an advantage in a way. If you have been infected and you recover and you still go and get a vaccine, it's essentially, and I like to use analogies all the time. It's like if anybody has ever had a battery in their car in the wintertime and it goes dead, if you have a weak battery, you crank it a little bit, you get a little turnover. You put a brand new battery in it, you get all the extra ampage and your car turns over. It's a cold cranking amps. And so what you're doing is if you give yourself a vaccine after natural infection, you give yourself a boost. You give your antibody response a boost. So that's what your body does. Your body's introduced the vaccine. What it does, it introduces your body to the proteins, not the virus, but it gives you just the spike protein. And that introduction is enough to make you generate an antibody response. But then when you go back and get your second shot, that's why people are talking about side effects. A mild side effect is good because it means your body's responding to the vaccine. So when you go back and get that second shot and you feel a little off for a day or two, by 24 hours, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a great thing. You should almost celebrate it because your body responded to it and it recognized that as being foreign. And now you have antibodies 2 weeks after that, roughly 2 weeks after that, to that. So yeah, getting a natural infection, that's one thing. You're fortunate to survive it, but it's not enough by itself. And those antibodies may wane quicker than they would if you were to get a vaccine following that natural infection. And so I would suggest anybody, if you think you're protected from natural infection, you need to follow it up. And some people even say at least with one dose of one of the mRNA vaccines. And I would tell them, you can still go back and get the full series, but definitely at least follow it up because you're leaving yourself out. I know enough people who have had COVID twice who are unvaccinated or multiple times. So you can actually get it again. So I think the vaccines are going to give you the extra protection you need to stay safe. Thank you for that question too. And we are kindred spirits, Dr. Ritter. We are both nerds, believe me.
There's a place for us.
That's right. You want to say something to Dr. Moore before he leaves?
I actually do not. I thought his video was excellent. I'm a big fan of models and drawing for patients, especially with surgery. I like to draw every anatomical part I can. So I thought it was great. I like using my hands. So I actually have no questions for him. I think Dr. Ritter and Dynamite's questions were wonderful. So I have nothing to ask. I think he should go see his mama.
Oh, man.
Chris, I would give you a chance to say something to Dr. Moore before he leaves.
I just want to say thank you. Keep up the great work. Safe travels. I hope you enjoy your family time. And I thank you for being literally a mRNA in living color in person. You are a messenger. You are a messenger, and you're getting the message where it needs to be delivered to. So I thank you for your work. I thank you for your knowledge, and God bless you.
God bless you too, man. Appreciate it.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, Dr.
Sure.
Ian Moore, let me tell you something, man. We love you. Let's give him some snaps and tell him we love him. And we'll see you again, hanging out with us. Take care of your family, man, and
absolutely
trace safe travels. Okay.
Take care.
All right. Thank you all.
All right.
So Mr. Mayor, who could have imagined that we would pull the barbers together from all over the country and bring one of the scientists that actually helped develop the mRNA vaccine to these Hollywood squares?
Right.
Dressed like a brother,
He is a brother.
He was apologizing. He said,
Hey, we're talking about dress like no brother. He a brother.
but you can relate to him. I know all the barbers can relate to him.
Yeah.
And that's what we need them to know. We were in the room where it happened.
Right.
We were there.
Right. You know, one of the things I want to talk about. One is a couple of things I want to do. Want to make sure that everybody who's in the room, make sure you put your name and your shop in the chat, right? And then we're going to do the word because I want to kind of feel where you are.
And let me tell Katrina to turn her camera on so we can spotlight you.
Yeah, Katrina.
And we got Harry Close there.
Yeah, bring Harry close. Yeah.
And even Harry talked about what he has experienced during funerals as people come with the kind of guilt.
Yeah.
As this thing spreads.
Something I just had a conversation today that really, you know, very few things shake me, but I had a conversation with a funeral home owner, director today that's in Mississippi. He has his shop is in Mississippi. His funeral home is in Mississippi. And he said right now in his funeral home, right now, today, tonight, there's 8 people that died of COVID in his funeral home tonight. 8. And he said, this is in Mississippi, right? And you know what the tragedy is that not one of them should be in that coffin or in that casket. Not one of them should be there. And all of them, he said, were unvaccinated. And so, you know, if that's not bringing it home, that's why it's so important that we do that. Now, one thing that I want to talk about too, and Dr. Ritter and Dr.
Omar, let me just say that because I want you to keep talking, but let me give them their instructions on the word.
Okay.
Omar's going to keep going. Now, here's how we're going to do this. You're going to write down a word that best reflects how you're feeling right now. Write down as many words as you can. Don't hit return. Just separate the word by a comma. And you can start now. And when the time comes, I'm going to do a countdown. We'll all hit return together. But right now, while Omar's talking, just enter the word and words that best reflect how you're feeling right now in this moment in the pandemic. Go ahead, Omar.
But, you know, one thing, you know, we always talk about how do you frame the issue, because how you frame the issue determines who embraces the cause. I don't think we have really defined the difference between a vaccine or vaccination and treatment, like getting a shot. You see what I'm saying? And Dr. Cook and Dr. Ritter, I want y'all to help me out with that, because some people think that, you know, nothing is wrong with me, right? So I don't need a shot. But it's not to treat you for something. It is to prevent you from getting this virus that can kill you, or if not kill you, really harm you in a way, not only for the short term, but long term as well. Help me out with how do we frame that issue, Dr. Cook and Dr. Ritter.
Okay, now before they talk, I'm going to count down now. 5, 4, 3, 2, hit return. Now there's the waterfall, and Meg Jordan is going to build the cloud, and when it's ready for us to view, she'll let us know. Hey, Katrina, right. Go ahead, Omar.
Hey, Katrina, how you doing? Good. Hey, good. Dr. Cook, help a brother out. Tell me how we can talk about this.
I think what Dynamite said earlier in the conversation, I think is a big part of it in terms of making sure that we explain things and talk to people about anything in medicine and in science at a level at which they can understand. And so that sometimes requires more than one conversation. You know, sometimes it's not just, I'm seeing you today, I'm telling you now, and do what you want with it. Sometimes it's, you know, I've seen it this way today. Call me back. Let's talk about it in a couple of days. Let me give you a couple of days to think about it. Here's something written to look through, some pictures. Here's a website to go check out. see if my facts check out. Come back and let me know what you think about it. Come back and let me know what somebody told you about it. Let's have a discussion, because we can't only talk at people. We have to encourage conversation, and encouraging conversation helps them also to tell us what thoughts they have about it. Tell us how they, what urban legends they've heard or myths they've heard. And so discussion is key. Speaking to people at the level that we should understand and having a discussion, as well as repeat, rinse, repeat, because that's helpful. You know, we don't go to school and do things once and that's it. And none of them, not even barbers and salons, they go, and hairstylists rather, they go in, they learn how to fade. Okay, they got to go back. Okay, well, how you do that? You know, they have to go through a process of learning and have to have somebody explain to them. They have to explain to their junior apprentices, you know, how is it you change your clipper to a 1 or 5, or, you know, all those things, how to layer, how to color, those things are repeat. So I think it's the same thing we have to do with people, with patients, is really just talk to them and have the discussion continue. In terms of preventative, I think it's key. It's key to make sure people understand, you know, you got chickenpox vaccination, you know, to hopefully not let you get chickenpox. Some people got chickenpox anyway. Breakthrough. But these vaccinations are to prevent you from getting the things that you're not, you know, we don't want you to get. And the thing is, it's not, and I want to make sure that we correct, because I heard the statement earlier and just now, it's not that you can't get COVID. You can still get COVID, but you're not likely to die from COVID. That's a big difference. Right. And my word for the word cloud was going to be anxious, because, you know, I have colleagues in different states that no longer can do elective operations because the hospitals are shut down to elective surgeries, because, you know, in places like Austin, Texas, they only have 8 ICU beds left for a population of 2.4 million. You know, and
that was the last time you said. It's probably at less than that now. When you come to think about it, right?
In Texas, they're shut down to elective cases. In Florida, at University of Florida, they're shut down to elective cases because it's such a big surge of people who are unvaccinated coming in and being deathly ill.
Right.
That's a different thing to, I mean, these are preventable cases. The first time around, we didn't know. Everybody was scared. We weren't sure. We didn't have vaccine. Now we have something that can help us to prevent dying.
Right.
So it's conversation and education and transparency and trust. But you know, I also will encourage, don't spend time with crazy, because there's no logic with crazy.
Well, you know, one of the things too, and you're right. I came up with this this 4 W's, right? The will, right? The next one has to do with the weight, and then the, you know, would, and then they won't. So the first one is people are willing, they were readily willing to get it. That's the will, right? They were willing to get it, right? Then the other one is the weight, was like, I'm gonna just wait and see what happens to him and make sure his arm don't fall off or his eye fall out, right? And then it's the would, meaning, well, I may get it if I can get the information on this. So I would get it if I knew that it would be okay. And then there's some people that's just at the want. And what you're saying, Dr. Cook, is that we can't spend our time on the want now. We got to try to work on the would, the people who need information, because there are people who will get information and they will naturally gravitate to take care of themselves. There's some people who are so caught up in ideology, politicization, religiosity, all of those things that's stopping them from rationalizing their lives, right? And so we will pray for those people, but let's get to as many people as we can. All right, Dr. Ritter, you know, help me out, because this thing, you know, I've gone to doctors all of my life, and I never questioned my doctor when they told me to something. You know, I really, you know, because I've had doctors that I knew cared about me. I've never had a doctor that I didn't think cared about me, because I'm not going to go to you if I don't think that. I got to feel you. I really have to feel you for you to be my doctor, right? My doctor is my friend. I mean, I know he loves me. right? He's my friend, right? He's my doctor. He cares about me. He'll call me and say, you know, you ain't come in for your colonoscopy, or you need to have, you know, your checkup, you know, your prostate got to be checked. Oh, Lord. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, I mean, but this is your personal doctor calling you, saying, not a secretary, not a nurse, you know, your personal doctor saying it's time for you to do this. Right. So I trust him. Right. So this notion of trust is very important. How can we get the fact that this is not a treatment. This is me preventing you to get something that can kill you. How can we get that across, Dr. Ritter?
Well, you know, that you're describing the good old days, I think, and COVID's changed that. I mean, I think you see that with the barbers now, because the trust between the doctor-patient has been challenged. Part of it is because we're not bringing them into the office anymore. We have virtual, and there's like disconnect. And then we have Dr. Google, and Dr. Google is trusted a lot more because it seems more intimate with your own education about yourself. So I do think, though, Omar, that there is another W in your W's I'm seeing. It's the not wanting to make the decision by themselves, because I'm seeing more of them who have been told you can't come back to school unless you get a vaccine. You can't come back to work unless you get a vaccine. And the mandates are making people who aren't vaccinated get vaccinated, because they just don't want to make the decision for themselves, because they don't want to make the wrong decision. And I really do think that there's a second half that's not vaccinated. You do have to, like Mike said, meet them where they are. But some of them just want to be told what to do. Like you're saying, the doctor-patient relationship, the doctor tells you what to do, right? And it's not the doctor anymore that is so powerful. It's your job, you know, where you're making your life, you know, your money or your education. So there's, so maybe, you know, everyone has to find, you know, the person they trust, or the person who's going to tell them how to do it. You have to do it. And I have, you know, all that variety in there, but it's interesting, you know, it's an interesting time, and I'm resolved that this is the way it's going to be now. I mean, this is just the new level of communication, and this is going to be for, in my mind, you know, several years, but we're going to be discussing this because we have a whole world to vaccinate, you know.
So Mr. Mayor, I think that Dr. Ritter's pointing out that we're going to have to keep doing this. We have brought our barbers and stylists together with physicians and scientists in a way no one has ever done before.
Right.
We have a platform for doing that. But there is one ingredient that makes this different than not only what happened 100 years ago with Spanish flu, but every other pandemic since. And that is the politicalization of the very behaviors that can save us. So I hear you, Dr. Ritter. And I know there's some people who are in states where somehow putting the mask on is a sign of weakness, or being vaccinated is a sign of you capitulated. We have people who are closeted. They've been vaccinated, but they don't want to tell anybody because of that social dynamic going on. So, Mr. Mayor,
the
mandates help those folks because they say, I got to get my job, so I'm going to go get it, even in spite of the politicalization. And then last but not least, even in Katrina's shop and in Mike's, we found people that came in hesitant and they left hesitant, but vaccinated. As you have said, Mr. Mayor, we push the information, let people make an informed decision. We don't have to get them to change their ideology or have a big argument over the origins of the virus. And now we're getting demand. Katrina's already having demand, and people are asking, when's the next vaccination clinic? And that's exactly what we want to see.
Right. Is Dr. Close anywhere around? I want to bring him on as well at some juncture. Let's bring up the word cloud and see what's people feeling out there, Dr. T.
Well, we've got the cloud ready to go, and go ahead and put it in. If you can make it big, there you go.
Look at hopeful.
Okay, all right.
grateful, right? Woke, still skeptical and wide awake and believe and sad, depressed, blessed, cautiously optimistic, current family members, resolved. I mean, let me tell you this. I'm a really upbeat person, but when my friend told me about those 8 people in his funeral home, that moment was a moment of just depression. I felt so badly because I know that had they been vaccinated, they would not be in that state, and their families would not be suffering the loss, the pain of losing someone. It's a tremendous thing to lose someone. About this time last year, I lost my mother, and so I'm visiting that the grief associated with the anniversary of a loss. And so when you see people who are forever going to have to deal with the grief of the anniversary of a loss, and to find out and to know that that was preventable, that's even make it even more difficult to digest. And so we really gotta do some stuff. Did we
O'Neal, could I
go ahead?
I'm sorry, could I say one thing
Please,
and just kind of
please.
piggyback off what you just said? 3 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to have a very close family member of mine in my barbershop, and this actually ended up being a testimony to some of my barbers because it led them to get vaccinated. But he was so against being vaccinated. And I pleaded with him. It was like God led me to plead with him on that day to please get vaccinated. He asked me, was I vaccinated? And I said, man, my whole house is. My 12-year-old just got vaccinated and is doing well, and I feel confident in the decision that we made. And he just was so against it. And his mindset spread through the house. 2 weeks ago, he called me and told me he tested positive. That Monday, his wife called me and told me she was taking him to the hospital. He was having a hard time breathing. That Tuesday evening, he was gone. Got a call this past Monday that his 23-year-old son had just passed away. They didn't even inform me that he was in the hospital because they were still dealing with the grief of losing their father. Got a call this morning that the 19-year-old daughter is now in the hospital and is not breathing well. So I just wanted to piggyback on what you said in terms of it being absolutely 100%, well, almost 100% preventable, because it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's preventable. And for our family now to be dealing with that, it's an awful thing when all it would have taken was for him to change his mind. And I tell people all the time, if you never change your mind, you never change your life, period. Mm-hmm. And this was an opportunity that would have changed the course of how things played out.
Right. And so what we can't do, and this is why I talk to us, in a way, is we got to make sure that we are okay too in our mental, because we're seeing nurses and doctors in the medical industry going through their own withdrawal from this process, because they know that the people who are coming there are unvaccinated. They know that people had an opportunity to get vaccinated. There is no restrictions at this point. You don't have to be in any category. You can walk into most drugstores or clinics and get vaccinated almost anywhere in your city, right? And the point of the matter is there are many people who didn't. Yeah. And so now what we have, based on the vicarious trauma that these nurses and healthcare and doctors and healthcare professionals are going through, many of them are suffering for what we call compassion fatigue. So they get tired of being compassionate to people who really put themselves and their family in this position, like you're saying, Reverend Roberts. You see what I'm saying? That's what You know, I love to call him that because he, you know, he's Tony the barber. I understand that, but he looks like Reverend Roberts today.
He does.
So-
Well, you know, Reverend Roberts, I was so glad you told that story, because the story you just told, we've been telling, but it's living behind the subscription services of the newspapers. If we start telling that story more, then folk don't have to wait till it comes to their house. And this is why I want to lift up your poster. We have a very nice poster out of from your location. This is you, right, Tony? In the middle?
Yeah, that's me.
Just go ahead and say something about
Yeah, in the middle.
how you created this. Talk to us about this.
Actually, one of our clients volunteered to pose for it, and at that particular time, we
so
were
that's
in the
actually your client.
shop with my graphic artist, and she took a picture. I'm sorry.
That's
He's
actually your
not my
client.
particular client, but he's the client that comes through the shop.
In other words,
No,
He's
it's
my
not
particular
stock.
specific client.
It's
That's
not
not
stock.
a stock. That's not a
No,
stock.
no.
We're trying to give you
No,
your
no.
purpose, Reverend.
No.
That is not stock. This is original creativity coming out of the Black community, out of the barbershop. Keep going, brother. Keep talking about this.
And we were trying to put this together and trying to figure out how to use it. And immediately the people that were in the shop wanted to know when it was. I'm excited about this event. I think the crowd is going to be great. And that's kind of how this came together. My graphic artist put the shots at the shop logo together because, you know, she was just trying to be creative based upon some of the other examples that she had seen. But yeah, I'm very excited about this particular event happening this Tuesday from 9 to 6 at our shop.
Awesome. And I just love the talent and the creativity and the fact that the folks in the shop got involved in the co-creation. That's where you get the energy.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right. Thanks, Tony. I mean, that's absolutely wonderful. Let's did Dr.
Harry, I see him here. And another thing was the story he told of the young lady who felt like she had killed her grandmother, and that guilt.
Right.
I think we have to find the space, Reverend Tony. How do we help people deal with that? They can't just hold that in and be ashamed and hide it. We have to somehow help them heal. That can happen in the barbershop too, in the salon.
Yeah, and it does quite frequently, actually. And I think the way you help people heal from that is it you know, honestly, speaking very frankly, it depends on from which platform. But you just tell them they got to forgive themselves. It wasn't their fault, depending on what their mentality was about it. And for the forgiveness of themselves, or them forgiving themselves, is the most paramount thing that you can impress upon that person at that particular point. And you know, if they're a believer, that God has already forgiven them once they've repented. That's the most important thing. But if they never get past that hurdle of forgiving themselves, they'll live in that dungeon, in that jail, for years and years to come.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that I think is important to note is that we are our brother's keeper, right? And, you know, we made this point before. A cousin went to Florida, caught COVID, came back. His mother contracted COVID from him, and she died. My cousin, right? So can you imagine every night when he goes to sleep, what he has to deal with? And the family knows what happened, right? And many people have not forgiven him, and he has to deal with that as well, in terms of broken relationships in the family, right? All of those things are critical, right, in terms of what people are dealing with. And so when you are talking about something as serious as a pandemic, we cannot think selfishly. We have to think about the greater good.
Right.
And that's why getting vaccinated is not just for me. I'm getting vaccinated for you, right?
Yes.
Right? And so we
Right.
need to be able to make that point
Right.
clear, right? Hey, Chris, when you're talking to people, how do you, what's your tone? How do you talk to people? And how do you stop from getting frustrated with people who won't listen?
Interesting. Thank you for the opportunity to present that. It's interesting. I visited, I'm here in Maryland. I visited a shop over in Dodge City. It's right there in Landover. Dodge, and I was talking to the brother, and he immediately just shut it down. Like, oh, no, we're not gonna be about that. They're not gonna be about that. And so I said, well, you know, if I can ask you, why do you feel that way? Like, what's your hesitancy? And he's just like, well, you know how we do. We don't trust anything. They could tell us one thing and it's actually another thing. I said, brother, it's saving lives. That's a given. That's one thing for sure. If it is not doing anything else other than what it says it's doing the most important thing and being effective at saving lives. And he stopped and he thought about it. He said, do you have any information that you can back it up with? I said, sure, most definitely. We get our most credible and current up-to-date information from sites, reliable sites such as CDC. So we get it hot off the press and we're able to disseminate that information through the community. And hopefully, as using you all as educators, you can get that to your clients. He said, you know, I'm gonna pass your information to the owner and see what he says about it. I mean, if for nothing more, he can hear you out. I said, thank you for the opportunity. That gave my elbow and parted ways. So I'm diligently waiting.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, the point of the matter is not only does the creator prepare the speaker, he simultaneously prepares the listener. Dr. Roberts, Reverend Dr. Roberts, all Reverends doctors. I want y'all to know that.
Hey, Omar, there's something about the way Chris's communication, Dynamite, Tony, all the barbers have a certain communication style that does not shut down the conversation. It keeps it open. That was a teachable moment, Chris, because you knew you were going to come back. It wasn't a one-time you had to close the deal. It wasn't transactional. Here's your $100 or here's your lottery ticket. It was, I care about you. Mm-hmm. And while you were talking, Chris, I got Andre down there in Atlanta holding up his door hangers. He's got his little business card. He's got his materials. He's distributing in his barbershop down in Atlanta. And this is how the energy is moving through the country. Thank you, Andre.
Hey, Andre. Yeah. So go. Hey, what you say something, Andre?
No, that was me. I was just sharing one quick one with one of my customers. Throughout the whole pandemic, he's been on the hell no wall, and it finally landed on his doorstep. He caught COVID, and I didn't see him for a month. And then I have a lot of clients, so I missed him, but I did miss him. So when I seen him, I was like, "Where you been?" He said, "Man, I caught that mess." I said, "What?" He said, "When is your next vaccine clinic?" I said, "Oh, we got a breakthrough." I said, "Now you want to listen now. I'm glad you made it through to come back to talk to me." So he's going to definitely be at the one on the 19th that we're doing in Capitol Heights. And I was happy to see that, but I'm glad he made it through. But that was one of the situations where, you know, you love your clients, and I hate to be the one to say I told you so, but I told you so.
Yeah.
But you know,
and he found out that he had underlying condition. He said, "Mike, I was finding out stuff I didn't know I had." I said, "See, I told you."
Yeah. But I've seen you before hesitate and not go right to "I told you so," and I think that's part of that forgiveness that Tony talked about.
Yeah.
That we do not and have not done shame and blame.
I don't want to beat him up, no.
And I think that's
no, not at all.
because you bring people to a new understanding that they can live with and even do better going forward. Andre, were you trying to say something?
Well, I was going to say thank you for recognizing that I was flashing your material.
It arrived.
Oh, wonderful.
But,
I just got mine yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. And Tony, I've heard about your shop, because we're at the airport and in a couple of malls. But what's happening right now in Atlanta is because of your efforts and some things that we've done, now they're in Decatur, and Dr. T, you probably, because you remember talking to our the doctor in Decatur, and so
Yes.
now they're offering $100 for shots on Saturday. And
They
all
are,
this,
yes.
yeah, all this has come from the exposure that we've given them throughout, like Tony's efforts from us. And so now they give, of course, I can give away $100, but however, it appears to be working. And the doc, I can't remember her name, but she referenced the fact that it came from shots at the shop. And so they're doing it at South DeKalb Mall, but they have a lot of shops in South DeKalb Mall. How many shops do they have up there? They got about 3 or 4 shops in there. But not one of them, because I went up there and talked to a couple of them, not one of them wanted to do a shots in the shop. So what the health department did was came in and said, okay, we'll give away. A couple of weeks ago, they gave $50. Now this week, they give away $100. But it all comes from the exposure that we've had and that we've given them. And so I think that's a positive thing. Now, Dr. T and Mayor, I'm also in negotiation, sort of. It takes a long time to talk to the mayor of Atlanta. But
Andre, if you can't talk to him, nobody can.
So yeah, but it's a she. But I'm
She,
trying to go ahead
yeah.
and do this thing at the airport. And that's our main shop is at the airport. But I need to carry some big guns talking to these people because
Well, you know you
Delta
have
did
our support.
one.
You know you have our support. Anything you need, you can just call us, man, and we there with you.
Okay,
Anytime.
well, I'm just saying, I just have to every now and then I have to bring this up because I'm constantly on the go. Matter of fact, we just walked in, so but all you guys are dressing nice for these meetings. I just walked in the door. So
You got to be like
Andre, you're good,
the preacher Tony. I mean,
But Andre and his wife early on, how proud they were when they finally got that certificate. I mean, we're bringing people across the finish line, filling the potholes and building the bridges that didn't exist. And we want to keep those things in place. And so, Andre, we keep working on the folks there in Atlanta. When I had the National Association of County City Health Officials on the phone 3-way with a barber in Baltimore City, they said, listen, we're going to call the secretary. Trust me, mountains get moved.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just so happy to hear what you're doing and to see the synergy there with Tony in the whole state of Georgia and what's going on also down there in Alabama. You're in a real hot spot down there.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're doing, and then I'm trying to get together with some of these older guys like myself because we've been around a long time. Tony's been around for a long time, and you introduced me to a couple other guys in Lithonia. But barbering is a competitive business by itself. So
Absolutely.
we have to gain confidence so that each one of us don't think that somebody's moving in on our territory, so to speak. But so I just showed, because my material just got here, so I don't mind showing it. But it's getting ready to show up at the airport, actually starting this weekend.
I think that's great. Be sure to send us photos. And,
but this is because I hadn't gotten around to getting the okay from the mayor to do a shots at the airport. But that's what I'm saying. I'm going to need a little backup from you guys.
We're here.
Yeah. You got it.
We can bring it.
You got it.
And Tony,
go ahead.
Even churches, sometimes there can be competition. How do we get over
yeah.
that? So we brought the barbers together kind of across the competition to cooperate in a way that's never been done before. How do we keep that going?
Are you speaking
Yeah, Tony.
about churches
Yeah,
specifically?
same things. The same thing can happen with churches.
Well, when you talk about churches, I think those walls are falling, especially in Atlanta. A lot of my pastor friends, they're talking about how they can get more information to their congregation, and I've even mentioned you guys to them. And I talked with Mayor O'Neill the other day, and he was talking about getting more information into the churches. So that's something that I think is going to happen. In terms of the competitive nature, I think those walls have literally been torn down because this thing has went through or has gone through congregations like wildfires. And I know guys who are literally, like you talking about the funeral home directors, I know guys who, if they have to preach another eulogy over a person that died over COVID, then they're going to just probably pull their own hair out. They're not going to need a barber. They're just over it. You know what I mean? And it's what we do. But by the same token, when you do it time after time after time, man, it really weighs on your psyche. It really does, on your mental.
Yeah, and to know that it's preventable too, Tony. I think that's what really hurts. You know, Dr. Cook.
Absolutely.
Wanted to go back to something that I want to say.
We'll speak a little louder.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. What's in that a commercial? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
We're not pushing them forward unless they sponsor our orientation.
That's what I'm saying. That you go ahead.
That's a Shea Moisture commercial.
Yeah, right.
All right. Go ahead.
So what I wanted to say, and it's quick, it was just about the person that, actually, I think it was Mr. Skurlock, it might have been, or maybe it was Dynamite. I don't recall, but it was about the person that changed their mind, decided to come back in and say, okay, I do want to get vaccinated. And we said, well, we don't want to blame them. We don't want to, put them in a blame game, kind of make them feel bad about it. But what I would say is that's an opportunity to use them as a foot soldier, because this is someone who understands at the basic level how they felt about getting vaccinated and can speak to someone who's their friend or their family member or their classmate or somebody at the grocery store at the same level, and understand where that person's hesitation comes from and understand how they could possibly turn that person around as well. Because it doesn't only have to be like, healthcare workers. This is the whole thing about community being responsible for community. That's why the barbershops and salons are so important. It's about all of us being responsible for all of us. So harvest that person and use that person, harness them and their energy and their distrust, which has now turned to trust, and their misunderstanding now turned to understanding, to then have them spread the word to get more people being vaccinated. Oh, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
No, go ahead, Dr. Dynamite.
It was a flock of 12 of them, and all of them were on the Hell No wall. He was the first one to say, I want it. So I'm definitely going to be incorporating him into a video, or to share the experience, and, to tell his friends who are on the Hell No wall, look, it happened to me, and it didn't happen, and it's not a good feeling. And his friends are saying, I'm not going to take the shot at gunpoint. So that's their position, and that's what I'm combating with the Hell No wall. I'm talking about this is a serious Hell No wall, but one of them fell off the wall because he got sick. Now he wants to, so I'm going to definitely exploit him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me ask this. The question is, do you think it will make a difference? And this is for everybody. If you just let me know who wants to say it, who wants to respond. Do you think it would make a difference if we were not so secretive about the fact that we've gotten vaccinated, that we promote our protection, right? That we talk more about the fact that we were vaccinated on our social media platforms, to our family members, to our coworkers. would that make a difference if we were not so secretive, closeted, vaccinated people? Dr. Ritter, help me out with that.
I always believe that transparency is the best way to clarity. So yes, I agree with you in theory, but I do see the politics behind that, where some people are afraid to state outright that they are vaccinated. And it just is, it can be an uncomfortable confrontation on social media, because people can be meaner when they're not face to face to each other. It's easier to be mean when you're not in the same room. So we do have, I do believe that what you guys did with your videos sharing that you got vaccinated at that stage in the beginning was critical. I think it's helpful now, but I think, you know, people have seen that people are getting vaccinated. So this second half is just a different half. And I truly believe that, like you said, Mayor Neal, that we should try to work on the side of compassion and generosity, and find that, because it's there in everyone. But we have to get out of ourselves and look that we're taking this vaccine for others. And I always say you take it for the children, because the children don't have a choice. You have a choice. The children do not have a choice. And this virus is nefarious, and it will find the weaknesses in our community. It'll find the weakness in the vaccine soon enough, but it's going to find the people who are not vaccinated, and they're going to be our children, man. You know, God bless our children. We have to do it for others.
You know, I had just on yesterday on my talk show, You Got the Power, I had the superintendent of Pensacola, Florida, Escambia County, but it's Pensacola, Florida, and the superintendent of Bullitt County, which is Union Spring, Alabama. So we had Alabama and Florida. The Alabama superintendent said that he has mask mandated in his school district. The Pensacola superintendent, when we talked about the thought of mandating, you would have thought that somebody had a gun on his head, to his head. He was so afraid to even discuss the possibility of making it mandatory to wear masks in the schools. That's because it has been so politicized, and that the governor in Florida, right, has said that if you mandate it, we're going to take the money from the superintendent and the board members. We're going to take your salaries away. That's what people are dealing with. So there is a politicization that's really fueling this hesitancy as well. And you're right. There's some people who don't want to say, because they don't want to be ostracized, because the predominant thought in their community is that to not be vaccinated. But let me give you the take on it. If we don't get enough people vaccinated, then it can elude your protection. So telling people to get vaccinated, or at least sharing your thoughts, you are technically protecting your protection. Right? So I see it from that vantage point. You know, we have to get bold, right? We need to be able to say, I want to live, and I want you to live, but I can't live if you don't live, because you can literally create another variant that can elude what I have.
Right.
And people need to understand that the more opportunities that this virus gets to mutate and create a new variant, it can really mutate out of our protection.
That can happen. And that's the fear, and why
that's the scary part.
The urgency of getting as many people vaccinated as possible. So Andre, we're going to get you in the airport, brother, because here's the other thing that we've noticed: that the issues of trust are still real. So I'm talking to a salon operator, and they had a vaccine clinic by the county across the street from her. It was not associated with her shop. And the people are in the barbershop, in the salon, talking about it, not going across the street getting it. And then she realized that when her shots in the shop time came up, the place was abuzz with people. They would rather come and get it there in the shop, in the salon, than across the street at an anonymous place or to drop by CVS. All the things you just mentioned, they still want to get it in a place that's safe and that they're comfortable with. But look at this. The broader society is looking at anyone unvaccinated saying, you could walk by any CVS, any pharmacy, in other words, you have no excuse. And there's a lot of burden being placed on that individual. And all I want to do is balance that with politicalization, Omar.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to find and give people a way out of that vice that they're in, because they feel like they're holding a political position by not being vaccinated and not putting a mask on. We got to give them a way out of that.
Well, not just that too, but it's Reverend Roberts. You know, you got a lot of preachers who telling people that God got you, you know, and not to get vaccinated. So we got to deal with that area
blasphemy
too.
as far as I'm concerned. That's blasphemy as
what?
far as I'm concerned. That's blasphemy as far as I'm concerned. That's utterly ridiculous for you to stand. I mean, we talked about this several sessions ago, that faith without works is dead. Faith is wonderful to have, but you have to back it up and undergird it with works. You said something a little while ago. I think it was either you or Dr. Cook said something that I loved. I actually put it in the comments when you said the vaccinated should promote their protection.
Right.
I think that's extremely profound and powerful. We should promote our protection and not be the closet vaccinated. And as a lot of people are doing, and a lot of people will continue to do that, but those of us that are not ashamed and are proud to be protected, we should promote our protected on every social media platform, in every conversation, in every way that we possibly can, because it may encourage someone else. I tell people all the time, and I'm not gonna be long-winded, but I said, God has given us a certain influence over a certain group of people. Let's use that influence, especially in this particular season, in this particular time. Let's use that influence. There are people that are watching you, listening to you. I don't care who you are, what area or what arena you're operating in. There are people that are watching.
All right, now I'm gonna do something. I just thought about something we're gonna do. Dr. Cook, put your video on if you can. All right, this is what I want to do. I want everybody to put your enable your mics. Everybody, enable your mics. All right, everybody. All
Come
right.
on, Lewis West.
All right, we're gonna do this quickly.
Tammy.
All right. Now,
Aisha,
Tony, you said something.
Open your mic.
Promote your protection. Promote your protection. That's PYP, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Promote your protection. Got that? All right. So I'm going to say something and your response, yeah, you know me, right? Okay. So here we go. You down with PYP?
Yeah, you know me.
You down with
You know me.
PYP?
Yeah,
you know me.
You know me. You know me.
You down with PYP?
Yeah, you know me.
Let's make a badge.
Right.
Let's make a badge.
It's all right.
We'll make a badge. PYP. You know
Promote
me.
our protection. You down with PYP? Yeah, you know me.
But
We'll
Omar,
print up 1,000 t-shirts just to say that.
you know,
Hey,
we ended up with T-shirts in Maryland off of something Mike and the barbers came up with here, and that was community immunity. That's on our T-shirts. And Tony, I'm thinking, is it possible? Again, thinking out of the box. We got about 3 weeks ahead of us. That's going to be one of the toughest in this entire period. To
Right.
put ministers in a Hollywood square just like this, Tony, and for 24 hours unbroken, pray. You start.
That would be powerful.
When you take a breath, Reverend Ritter starts. When she takes a breath, Reverend Cook starts. And do that for 24 unbroken hours. And in between
That would
time,
be powerful.
show the hip hop video and other kind of cultural things.
Right.
And it would be a live stream, unbroken, streaming into barbershops during the day and night. My question to you, Tony, is this, Reverend, is that possible? Can you help line up the ministers and the people who could give their testimony 24 unbroken hours?
I absolutely can. I absolutely can. I got 3 weeks to work on. Well, not 3 weeks. You give me a date, and I'll be working on it to press toward that date. I absolutely can.
Yeah,
I'm more than
the
willing to be instrumental in
ministers
that fashion.
and
We can have a lot
individual
of people
testimony.
work on that. Yeah.
I'm looking at
Mhm.
Ms. Washington here smiling. I'm thinking she's thinking, I got a testimony. I got something I can say and share. Aisha, you're muted.
Right.
How are you?
Tell us where you
Doing
are.
good.
I'm in Albany, New York.
The name of your salon. Come on, you got the floor now.
Sorry.
Don't be shy. It's too late for that.
Vanity Salon in Albany, New York. And actually, I just had a COVID scare from a friend of mine. I'm fully vaccinated from the salon for the past year, but didn't think it was serious enough to get the vaccine. So her whole family just came down with it and are battling it right now. But luckily, they don't have any serious symptoms. But my dad did lose his wife of 35 years last year from COVID. So that's why I want to support everybody getting vaccinated at least, so we know we get some kind of protection.
Well, thank
So
you.
thank you
so
for
much.
inviting me.
And so sorry for your
Thank you so
loss.
much, Ms. Washington. It's when we
So sorry for your
do,
loss.
we do give our condolences to you and your family. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Dr. T, do you know it's 7:27 my time? That's 8:27 your time. That's 3 minutes to wrap this thing up. They say that time flies when you're having fun, right?
I'm having a ball. You mean it's time to go?
Yeah, it's time to go. You don't have to go home, but you have to get out of here.
Andre said he just walked in the door. Hey, Omar, go to round robin and get the closing comments.
All right, that's what we're about to do. Okay, let's start. I'm gonna start with you, Chris. The new kid on the block, this new team member. Give you the first word.
What's the take home, Chris? What do you want people to remember from tonight?
Take home really quickly. Do the right thing for the right reason, regardless.
Wow, that's profound. Good. Dynamite Mike.
I definitely want to get with the pastor on that prayer thing. I know God has his hand on this whole thing that we're doing, and we're going to save lives with it, and I'm all behind it, and want to get with some other brothers and march around the walls of Jericho till they fall.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Andre.
Oops, sorry, I turned off my mic. What I'd like to do say we're all doing positive things, and I want to stay in communication with. Every time I come in, I see another brother or sister from the Atlanta area that I didn't know was involved. Tony, I'm the easiest man in this town to find. Get in contact with me.
Good.
And we will work on the prayer thing together.
Love it.
It's wonderful.
Absolutely.
All right, Dr. Cook.
My closing statement would just be to reiterate that anyone whose mind you change, quickly envelope them in your fold of foot soldiers to go out and help speak to people who think like they thought. Also to make sure that you take care of yourselves as hardworking barbers and stylists and business owners. Make sure you take care of your own mental health. Don't just listen to the problems of others, but make sure someone is listening to yours and address it as need be.
Good.
Good. All right, Dr. Ritter.
Get so much out of these town halls, and what I came out with tonight was the promote, but also support. Promote and support. I would really love to support this 24-hour testimonial too, because that's very powerful. So promote and support.
Thank you so much. Reverend Tony Roberts, Barbara Roberts.
I think that, I know we've all been praying, and I think that the prayer, the 24 hours of prayer and testimonials is going to be powerful. But until we actually put that into place, let's promote our protection. Let's continue to do that. Let's blast it. Let's sound it from the top of every mountain. Tell everybody that we know that we're vaccinated. And I think we'll change some minds, because there are a lot of people who probably simply don't know that we're vaccinated. So I like that approach.
I see somebody says in the chat, safe, stay safe and sanitized. I like that. Safe, sane, and sanitized, right? All right, Dr. T, you got the word right before I close it out.
Well, you know what has amazed me is the creativity coming out of the community, whether it's the graphic creativity or the creativity of the ideas that we're generating here right now. And so I think that 24 hours can work, Tony, combined with the testimony and the actual, card carrying ministers. I think we can do that and have that happen sometime this month. August is so vitally important in this moment we're in right now. So let's put our heads together and keep this thing going. This is what moving from moment to movement feels like.
Let God have his way.
We can get it done. We got the power, right, Omar?
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely. Well, again, thanks to each of you who are just an incredible panel, as well as all of the barbers and stylists that are in the audience. We want you to know how much we appreciate you and how much we love you. And we want you to live. And I think that's my closing comment is we want you to live. We want you to have the opportunity to be the true and perfect manifestation of God's intent for you. So we want you to live. And we want you to know that we love you. And we show you that we love you by just saying 4 words. We will leave others very encouraged. That's what love is. Leave others very encouraged. So we encourage you to get vaccinated, to promote your protection so that others can live. And as always, I'd like to leave you with these 2 words. Remember that I love you with the perfect love. But more importantly, remember this. You got the power. Until
All right.
Bye-bye.
You got the power.
Dr. T.
Yo.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night. Can you
Good
put
night.
Brother
that
Andre,
clinic
I'll be
that we're having in the
contact
chat?
with you.
Good night.
Good night.
Absolutely.
Nice
Bye-bye.
to meet everybody.
All right, don't forget.
Hey,
Love you all. Take care.
every Thursday this month, we'll be here.